All right. Hey, everyone. This is Miko with the Permanent Empire, and I am jumping in here today to do this live video. So, as you can probably see just by the title of this video, I wanted to talk about something. So, as you can see, it's Saturday. I'm in my office because, of course, on Saturdays, I go ahead and I get ready for the week ahead. I get everything, kind of just straightened out. Just get myself prepared for Monday because on Monday, it's one of those days you wake up, you're like, okay, hey, let me try to focus as much as possible. So I am, of course, doing all of that good stuff on Saturday, getting myself ready for Monday. Hey, Shanta, how you doing? And thank you so much for joining in this Saturday with me. I appreciate it. So, right, that's what I do on Saturdays. And I always say that I get ready on Saturdays for the week ahead. I do all my planning. I get, permits even prepared. Sometimes I even submit permits on Saturday online if I have some extra ones online, right? So, hey, Shantae, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad you caught me as well. I'm glad you're in here. Okay. So, like I said, I get all that stuff ready. So, with the topic of this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about it because, again, Saturday is not my business day. It's not my business day. It's not the day that I'm actually like actively conducting business. I don't talk to any of my clients. I really don't do any of that. I don't email. I have no communication with them. And I do that simply because I want to set up some boundaries. I want to get those boundaries in place. I want to have them set up, right? Now, like I said, I'm getting ready for Monday. So I might be even getting my emails ready, those type of things for Monday, but I am not sending anything out. I'm scheduling it to go out on Monday. Sure. Any of my communications, I have them scheduled. But what I have noticed in business, and of course, I'm going to talk about permit running because that's what I do, right? So, what I've noticed a lot of times is I'm dealing with the owner of the business or of the company. A lot of times I'm dealing with the contractor or the qualifier. I'm dealing directly with them, and their business hours may be until they go to sleep, or they have crazy hours. They're still working at 8:30 p.m. or whatever the case is. Now, for me, I have business hours set up regardless of the fact that I'm still working, maybe some after hours, maybe I'm coming in on Saturdays, I am still working those 8 to 5, like 8 to 5 is pretty much my business hours. That's it. And I'm making sure that I have that actual cut off time because you will find yourself being overworked. Now, hey, if your hours are, 4 to 9 p.m. or something like that, then by all means, that is what you do. But for the most part, you still have to set those boundaries in place to make sure that you're not being overworked because you can burn out. Just like within any business, you can burn yourself out by doing too much, by answering all the calls, all the text messages, responding to every email immediately. You can burn yourself out. And that's not what we want to do. So, boundaries are super important in this business as well as any business. You need to set your office hours and you need to stick with those office hours. Understandably so, there may be emergencies that come up that, hey, you find yourself responding to things, outside of your work hours. But if you have set your hours, especially you got your website up and running, and so you've got your business hours set on your website, or you even have like your social media, those hours of operation are set on there. You need to stick with those as much as possible, but and it's for your well-being. It's not necessarily because hey, I want to be a stickler so much and I want to stick it to them or what. No, no, no. You want to make sure that you're not burning yourself out by taking on certain projects or certain additional assignments that will cause your contractor, your investor, your property owner, whoever it is that you're actually contracted to do the projects with, you want to make sure that they're respectful of your time and that they understand that, hey, these are my office hours. This is what time I've set aside to discuss any business, operations, services. This is my time. If you want to speak with me in regards to your project, these are the times that I work. So these are the times that, we can have those communications. Again, I've had situations, and you probably can attest to it yourself. I've had situations where I've had a contractor texting me 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Now, my work hours say nothing about going into 9:30, 10 o'clock, but I've had contractors texting me, like, about permits, about the status of their permits. at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. Even if I respond in that email, let's say I'm up and I'm actually working, because hey, sometimes I am actually up working a little bit late because I might be setting up for the next day. Like if I know that I'm taking off Monday, let's say I'm taking the Monday off, like last week or this week we just left, I actually took off Monday, right? But I went ahead and set up my emails so that I was responding to some of the questions. So that way on Monday, I was setting up the responses to go out. Things were still going out on Monday. And yes, I did set up my vacation alert so that if they were responding back or asking me anything back in return, that yes, it would let them know, hey, I was out of the office today. But for the most part, I was working later the day before to make sure I got some of those just emails out, some of those responses out. But regardless, those responses went out during my business hours. And with I have a Gmail account, right? And I think for every business, when it's a business, you should actually set up your business not necessarily to be like your name at Yahoo or your name at Gmail. It should be your business. You should have an email for your business set up. And that's for a couple different reasons, right? Because also at some point you may want to establish business credit. And when you're establishing even your business credit, you have to use a business email for business credit. So there's lots of reasons you want to set that up. But like I said, with Gmail, I have a Gmail account. So they allow you to schedule out your responses, to schedule out emails that you send out. Even when I'm sending out updates, sometimes I have those scheduled. That is why I'm coming in on Saturday a lot of times to go ahead and get those things scheduled out so that, hey, even though I'm working on them on Saturday, which is not my business hours, even though I'm working on it at that time, they're going out the following week. They're touching those contractors the following week. And once you get that set up and you really get that rolling, your customers, your clients, they will actually respect that from you. They'll respect those boundaries with you. But it's important to set up those boundaries. I hear so many occasions of people burning out. And let me be honest with you, I have been in that same situation a couple of times myself, to where I have felt like I'm burnt out, like I've taken on too much, I'm doing too much. And a lot of times that comes because we don't respect our own boundaries. We go ahead and keep responding or talking to our clients after hours. We don't give ourselves a break. And that's why it's important that we need to set up time so that, hey, this is the business hours. This is when I'm responding. This is when we're communicating. This is the time to do business transactions, because you'll find yourself really, taking on so much. Like I said, I've had multiple contractors will text me. I've had contractors who will text me on Sunday. I'll be in church and I'm getting texts from a contractor. What's the status of this permit? I'm not responding back to those text messages on Sunday. On Monday morning, I will then respond back to those messages. And you have to set that up and establish that with your clients so that they'll understand, hey, okay, they are really operating under that business schedule. I did have one client one time to say to me, he was like, okay, I see that you don't respond anymore after 5 o'clock. And at first I was like that might be a bad thing. But then I had to realize, no. Sometimes it's okay to stop and put that aside, because you have other parts of your life that you actually have to take care of. And even it's just good for your mental health. Take that moment to stop responding to the client, set up that time to where, hey, this is just business. And then I have time for myself as well. Because you understand, taking on any business, starting in any business, running in any business, maintaining a business, it is really taxing on yourself, on your personage. It's really taxing on you as a person. So when you give yourself some time to kind of breathe, and that's why I'm here on Saturdays, because for me, I'm not answering any calls, I'm not texting, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just getting ready for the week ahead. Because for me, like once I hit Monday, right? Tired from the weekend. Yes, I'm jumping in early Monday morning, but it gives me that chance to kind of like take that moment for myself to get things going, because that's how I kind of operate. I need that moment sometimes on Monday morning where, hey, it's like, okay, give me a minute, let me get myself going, let me think a little bit, let me get my cup of coffee, let me get myself rolling. So what I've done on Saturday was I went ahead and got things scheduled. I didn't respond back to them. Like the response didn't go out that day on Saturday. It's not going out today. It is going out, however, on Monday, right? Thank you so much, Shanta. We have to take that time for ourselves. We have to make sure that we are not, you know, taking on too much. And sometimes just that responding outside of business hours, sometimes just that alone, it can wear you out. And that's really what it is. So just for yourself, like I said, I'm always doing videos on Saturday because I'm here in the office. But again, I am not physically talking or communicating or being hands-on, not meeting with any clients for the most part on the weekends, just kind of getting myself prepared for the week ahead. Of course, with permits, however, they're online. A lot of them are online. I've said that before, like 80% of my permits are online. So I may actually submit permits, sure, but I am not communicating that to the contractor. Now, with some of the online systems, what does happen occasionally is once you submit that permit with that contractor information attached, they may actually just send out like a generic email to that contractor to say, hey, we've received a submission. Now, they may do that. That is something that does happen with some of the building departments. Because, of course, if I have a little extra, I'll go ahead. It doesn't really take a whole lot of time to submit an online permit. So, of course, if I have a little, if I have extra permits that I wasn't able to get out in a timely manner, I go ahead and I get those submitted on Saturdays. Yes. Okay, Shante. Yes, Shante. Thank you so much for chiming in there. The notary side is gracefully being elevated more over time, so I maintain the significant communications as usual. Yes, exactly. And we have to really, really take that, into our schedules. We have to really, really understand that, um, our time is important. We have to understand that that's something I learned a while ago with doing insurance. Like this is just mutually, this is something that's mutual. This isn't just like we get it, the customer is right. Like we understand that stuff. We got it. We got it. We got it. And that's always been said to us. Customer's always right, that type of thing. But this has to be a mutual, this has to be mutually beneficial. This has to be mutually beneficial. So on your end, sure, I'm providing a service for you, but I can't allow that to just also always interrupt my personal life, my personal time, my personal schedule, because I will be burnt out. And once I am burnt out, you're still expecting the top-notch service. And I've given so much. And also, because that leaves us vulnerable at that point. We've given so much, we're burnt out. Now that contractor, that customer, our client, they're still expecting top-notch service. And especially with them seeing that, hey, you're always available, they're going to expect that of you going forward, that you're always available. You're always available. If you happen to not respond to a text or an email at a certain point, they go like, what happened? What's wrong? Because you've always made yourself open and available at all times when you really should have been respecting your own business hours. We really have to just kind of respect our own business hours if that's what we set in place. Now, if you're a business that you're operating 24 hours a day and that is what you've put out there, then by all means, because I do see that a lot of times, especially with like notary business, I do see that a lot of times people are saying that they are 24 hours, like the service is over 24 hours. So of course, if a client reaches out to you, they may expect to get a response. They may expect that. But once you've also gotten yourself really established as well with your business hours, then you put systems in place to respond back during if you're really really working your hours that you're actually operational are 8 to 6, 8 to 7, let's say that, because like I said, I see a lot of people saying 24 hours, but let's say you're truly operational from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then you also have to be mindful of putting a system in place or an automatic response system in place that does respond to say, hey, I have received your information, or thank you for reaching out to me, I will respond to you shortly, or something like that. And that's something to just consider in general. I had to set that up with social media too, because I was realizing that I couldn't get back to everybody, because sometimes people would respond or would send me a DM, overnight. Like it'd be, 2 a.m. and I'm sleeping, right? So I have it to where it's an automatic response that, hey, I will get back to you during normal business hours or whatever the case is. Because I am definitely like, that was something initially when I jumped out in business. I didn't always respect my own time, my own, you know, business hours, so to say. So it's something that I also had to set up and set into place for myself to respect that. Because once I got to a point where I was like, oh, like I'm tired, I'm out of it, right? I had to realize that my customers weren't wanting to hear that. They still expected a certain level of professionalism. They still wanted that customer service. They still expected it. So what you do in the meanwhile, like from the jump, what you do is you set those business hours, you respect them. You started off first. You respect those business hours, and then you expect that same level of respect from your clients. And if they don't give it to you, let's say they're texting you at 10 o'clock at night, or whatever the case is, don't respond. Respond the next day during your business hours, right? So, like I said, I just wanted to jump in here really quick, really quick. I wanted to just talk to everyone about that because, I do understand that we tend to do that. We want to make sure that we're getting the business. And yes, it's great to have people reaching out to us and potential clients reaching out to us, and we want to grab them and we want to talk to them at all times. But sometimes for your own sake, you need to respect your own business hours. You need to respect your business policies first, right? So thank you so very much. Yes, Shantae, that's like really Shantae saying yes, thank you, because as part of expanding into the permit runner side, I want to be limited with hours. Therefore, I don't burn out. So very true, so very true. And especially because, like, going back to real quick, when I first started, it wasn't my main thing. Permit running wasn't even my main thing. So I had to set that time aside to when I'm following up with my clients, that type of thing. But yes, definitely, Shantae. Hey, Sharon, good to see you in here. But yes, I'm going to jump on out of here. I wanted to do this really quick. I'm going to get on out of here. And thank you all so very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate. I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend, and I hope you go into the next week, revived and feeling great and getting business and getting your money and getting everything done. All right. So if you have any questions, you have any comments, definitely feel free to leave them for me in the chat, and I look forward to chit-chatting with you later.